Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring you a powerful address delivered in classic Donald Trump fashion, sharp, unscripted, and aimed directly at his political rivals. Over the course of his remarks, he spoke at length about immigration, tariffs, left-wing violence, and his ongoing feud with former FBI Director James Comey. What follows is a full account, rephrased into a smooth narrative style, while keeping his most important words exactly as he spoke them. The speech opened with one of Trump's most familiar topics, the state of America's borders. He wasted no time in drawing a contrast between his own administration and what he described as democratic efforts to undo the progress. Trump declared, "Better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone-cold flows. You can only come into our country legally now, but the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders." His tone was both firm and incredulous as he painted a picture of open borders under Democratic leadership. He warned that their approach would mean releasing prisoners, taking people from mental institutions, and allowing drug dealers and addicts to pour across unchecked. Looking straight into the crowd, Trump said, "This is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want." For him, the matter was clear. Democrats were committed to dismantling strict border protections and, in his words, taking our money in the process. Shifting gears, Trump pivoted to what he sees as one of the proudest achievements of his presidency, his trade strategy and tariffs. He credited these measures not just with strengthening the economy, but also with creating unprecedented revenue for the government. He declared confidently, "We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made." Trump explained that while tariffs caused short-term challenges for some, particularly farmers, his administration had a plan. He pledged that money collected from tariffs would be used to support those who might feel the immediate strain until the long-term benefits kicked in. To emphasize the point, he shared an anecdote about an unexpected revenue discovery. He recalled, "They found $31 billion and they said, 'Sir, we found 31. I said, "You mean positively, right?' They said, 'Yeah, 31 million more than we knew.' And they said, 'We don't know where it came from.' I said, 'Check the tariff shelf.' They came back the following morning. They said, 'You're right, sir. It came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this.'" According to Trump, this was proof that his strategy was working. The tariffs, he argued, were not only defending American industries, but also generating funds that could be cycled back into the agricultural economy. "The farmers are going to be making a fortune," he said, though he acknowledged it would take time for the benefits to fully appear. From trade, Trump moved to a darker topic, a violent incident targeting federal immigration enforcement officers. He referenced a shooting at an ICE facility in Texas where bullets had been engraved with anti-ICE slogans and a note was found threatening further attacks. The question was put to him directly: who did he hold responsible for this rise in violence? Trump did not hesitate. He answered, "Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem." He lashed out at what he called reckless democratic rhetoric, accusing some lawmakers of fueling division and violence with irresponsible statements. He added that many of them, in his words, were very low IQ people who were out of control. The warning that followed was sharp and unmistakable. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left, but the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. Here, Trump paused to make clear that he was speaking as president for all Americans. He insisted he did not want violence, but he said the danger came from left-wing extremists pushing too far. He said plainly, "The radical left Democrats are causing this problem. And it gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that." After tackling the issue of violence, Trump turned his attention to one of his most enduring rivals, James Comey, the former FBI director. At the time of his remarks, reports were circulating about the possibility of an indictment against Comey. When asked whether this would mark the beginning of accountability for what Trump has long called the Russia hoax, he was careful not to predict outcomes. He explained, "Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know." You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that detour. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. But while he stopped short of commenting on the legal process, Trump did not hold back his personal opinion of Comey. His tone was sharp and condemning. I can only say that Comey is a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. But I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. As the event drew to a close, Trump thanked his audience. Applause swelled and music played as he exited. His remarks had covered a wide span of political territory, from border security and tariffs to the dangers of radical rhetoric, and finally to old battles with the FBI. What stood out throughout was his reliance on familiar themes, portraying Democrats as reckless and dangerous, defending tariffs as a source of strength, and casting himself as the one willing to speak bluntly about threats facing the nation. So what did we hear in this speech? At its heart, Trump was delivering the same message that defined his presidency: strong borders, a strong economy, and strong opposition to what he called radical left Democrats. His words were part warning, part defense, and part celebration of what he sees as his successes. He argued that his policies had protected America's borders, enriched its treasury through tariffs, and supported its farmers in times of need. He also offered a sharp rebuke to his critics, accusing them of fueling violence and undermining national security. And when it came to James Comey, his disdain was as clear as ever, calling him a sick guy and a bad person, even while leaving the question of legal accountability to others. The tone of the event was combative yet familiar, mixing anecdotes, warnings, and attacks in a way that was unmistakably Trump.